Most people make decisions that end their truck driving career before they've even left CDL school. The proof is in the high turnover rate. Now, these decisions cause unhappiness and financial ruin. Now, I'm not talking about little BS decisions like driving while on your phone. I'm talking about major decisions with real consequences. The worst part is people don't even know they're making them. Now, I fell into the unhappiness category, and the last point that I'm going to cover today is going to help you avoid what I experienced. Now, on this channel, I create trucking videos based on my experiences in the trucking industry to help truck drivers avoid the pitfalls of trucking. So please consider subscribing. Now, let's get into the video. Now, a truck driving career can be the most rewarding thing in your life, but it can also be the worst decision of your life. Now, over the past decade, I have seen and felt the high turnover rate of simply holding a CDL. Making the most money doesn't cause people to stay. Being an excellent driver doesn't ensure success. Now, I've chosen 7 decisions that I repeatedly saw, and we're going to talk about what those decisions are, starting with number 1. Now, the first point is not researching trucking companies before you get into the industry, as well as before you change to a different company. I was guilty of this. I dove right in, but I got very, very lucky. The high turnover rate really speaks for itself. And I think that a lot of the unhappiness or, not making as much money comes from not doing the proper research because, one company is not a one size fits all. What's right for you is not going to be right for me. I feel like the research part is so important yet so overlooked. So I would advise heavily researching before making any big decisions. Number 2, thinking that one company represents all companies. They're not all the same. They're not all created equal. Like I just said, one company may be perfect for me, but not for you. Find the right fit. And for some people, that's working local. For some people, that's staying out and traveling all over the country and just enjoying the scenery and getting paid to do so. I feel like a lot of people that get into the trucking industry think that, well, it's like this for this company, so it must be like this across all companies. And I can assure you that is not true. Number 3, the decision to remain silent. And what I mean by that is poor truck driver trainers. If you're unaware of how to be a proper truck driver, then it's very difficult to ask the right questions. How do you know? How do you know what you need to know if you don't know? I know that was a little confusing. The point is that a lot of the truck driver trainers are unfortunately, they're lacking. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a ton of good ones, and I've met a lot of good ones. The original one that I had was terrible. I was just a driver that got his truck extra miles so that way he made more money. Now, he passed along a couple of nuggets because I asked questions a lot, so he really didn't have a choice. I didn't truly learn how to become a truck driver until I actually started doing it and until I started seeing it. I drove team about 3 months after I came into the industry, and I got lucky. My co-driver had been driving for, 20 years. He really taught me the ropes, and I'm very appreciative, Frank. Number 4. The decision to become a trainer too soon. This one's kind of a bad one, and unfortunately it goes back to, not being trained properly, not knowing what to ask, and not going through the protocol. Now, the company that I, hired in with and was trained by and then eventually moved to a trainer, they had a training schedule. There were sheets of paper that I was supposed to go over and have all of this knowledge by the end of the week. And my training happened to be 6 weeks. Not enough, but I get it. We've got to get out there and we've got to make money to support our family. But in week 6, that's when I learned about those pages. I didn't know half of that stuff. And unfortunately, the people that lack experience as a truck driver cannot teach these things. Me personally, I would put a minimum amount of experience 4 people in order to train. Now, the unfortunate thing here is there's just not a lot of people that are willing to train. So they have to make do with what they have. But rushing in to become a trainer, I know more than one hand of fingers of people that quit after becoming a trainer, chasing the money in less than a year. Number 5, the decision to buy a truck too soon. The success rate drops incredibly if you buy a truck too soon. I'm just going to include them all: lease purchases, leases, and just buying the truck outright. To put it simply, people just do not have the skills to be a truck driver. There's so much more to being a truck driver than literally just driving the truck. And it takes a solid year of experience being on the road in order to even think about buying a truck. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and also for a different video. So moving on. Number 6, the decision to spend money just because you have money. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that dig their own hole, so to speak, on the finance side of things, because you see a lot of money coming in, but it's hard to fathom that next week your paycheck might be cut in half. Now, there are other companies out there that, have guarantees on a weekly basis, and those things are great, but the unrealistic expectations of truck driver pay cause poor spending habits and cause poor spending decisions, especially if you go from a job making minimum wage to where now you're making 60, 70 plus $1,000 a year. Well, that's quite the hike. But believe me when I say, mo money, mo problems. So making the poor financial decisions, really, it'll cause ruin in any industry, but it can also trap you into the trucking industry, and you certainly don't want that. And number 7, I'm guilty of this one: the decision to always chase the money. When I was first on my trainer's truck, I thought all of the things too. I'm going to become a trainer. I'm going to lease a truck. I'm going to buy a truck. I'm going to build a truck fleet. Trust me, if you've had these thoughts, you're not the only one. I can assure you almost everybody that goes through truck driving school thinks these things. But for me, as I was always chasing money, it was never enough. I could never make enough money. And what I wish that I had done is reverse engineer where I wanted to be. And I'm almost certain that I would have been way more happy with the progress that I was making, with the money that I was making, being okay with taking that home time. But getting stuck in the mentality of I have to make more money put a lot of pressure on me, and it made me miserable. So I encourage everyone to be the master of money. Don't let money master you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out. But as always, stay driven.